Hi everyone, and welcome to the book Refuge, and welcome to another recommendations video. So today, as you can see, is office romances. So this was a really fun one. When I put out the let me know which ones you want, office romances came up a couple times, which is cool because I have actually read a lot of these. So the way I make these trope videos is when you guys give me a trope or I'm thinking of doing one, I go on to Google and I just type in, recommendations. And so usually a Goodreads list will come up. And then I go through the Goodreads list and see which ones that I have marked as read. If none, just like come to my head right away. And this one, I didn't realize how many that I read were actually under office romance. So office romance, I feel like the trope we see the most for this is like boss and employee. And I do have a good amount of those, like most of them. But I did find a couple that were, like coworkers or stuff like that. I also have like a nannying one in here too, because that's kind of like workplace as well. And I also have like a coach and player one as well, because in a professional sports setting, technically that is your workplace. So yeah, but anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. Before I go, I just want to tell you that if any of these books are interesting to you, any of them you want to try, I am an Amazon affiliate now. So if you check out down below, I have a link to my storefront where you can go in, see if you want to get any of these books. You can pick them in any version that you want, not just the one that I have picked. And it just helps us both out, right? So without further ado, let us dive into it. So first I want to start off with an oldie, okay? Because this series got re-brought up to me the other day and I really like it. It's super raunchy, super inappropriate, and that is Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. So this was actually their first works that they did together. Very, very unlike what they're writing now. So I'm just warning you that it is like much more closer to erotica than like on Honeymooners, okay? I'm just telling you. But I love it better. I actually don't like their newer stuff really at all because I think they try to get too clever and they don't just give me what I want. I really like when banging is the plot. Thank you, Katie Robert, for that sentiment. That's what I want. So it's hard for me when they try to be fancy. But anyway, Beautiful Bastard is a workplace romance. Wait, why am I explaining that? These are all workplace romances. It's Friday. My brain's not home. Excuse me. So what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with this couple who, this is also a hate to love, but they have such intense chemistry that the first time they're alone in a room together, they end up like banging on a desk. And I think there's something in an elevator. And then, it's the classic thing that comes up a lot of times is like, am I only getting ahead because of the person that I'm sleeping with? I need to feel like I'm actually earning something for myself. But this couple really starts off a whole series. Like there is so many couples in this series. I actually didn't end up finishing this series because it started getting repetitive for me. But I love this one and like the first 4 in them. But I really, really love Beautiful Bastard. And I think if you're a Christina Lauren fan, but yet you also like more erotic books, I think you will love these if you have never checked them out, because there's just more of that sexiness that I adore. Like, I love it. Next, I want to talk about one I just read, which is So Over You by Kate Meador. So this is book 2 in the Chicago Rebel series. And oh my gosh, I love this. I listened to this on Audible Escape. And there is a Russian hockey player in here. And the lady, the voice she does for him, like panty tingling for sure. So this is about Isabel Chase, who she is one of 3 sisters who partially own this hockey team. And she also made a run. She was in an Olympic hockey game and she got really hurt. Like she took a blade to the head or something. A hockey blade or hockey skate to the head, and she almost died. She also previously had a romance with Vadim Petrov, and then her dad found out about it and pretty much ruined his career for a while. Like, it was bad. They were both only like 18. He was just getting onto the team. She was in the Olympics, and her dad like ruined this guy's career. and they never got a chance to talk about it because like they had been flirting around each other, they had sex. It wasn't that great for Isabel because it was her first time, and they never had a chance for a repeat or a chance to talk it through because then her dad found out and sent Vadim away. And then she had everything happen. Well, now her father is gone and her sisters are running this team, and she is actually also trying to be a coach. So she is coaching the guys and helping with like therapy and stuff like that. And so Vadim, he comes to this team, he gets traded to her team, and he is injured. So she's kind of helping him with extra practices and healing. And when they first see each other again, it's like still instantly attracted, but that like, I hate you because we had something and we had a chance at something and it went wrong and now I hate you. And I really like that. And Vadim, he quickly switches to being like, well, this is stupid. Like, I just want to bang. Let's bang it out. But I just really like this. And I like looking at this as a workplace romance because it's also like a coach-player romance, an owner-player romance. And it was just fun. And I haven't read the first one in this series, but I've read the second one, which is a male-male romance, which was super good. And I'm going to read the fourth one soon too, which I'm really excited about. So check this out. Then I want to talk about Dr. OB by Max Monroe, and this is the first in the St. Luke's docuseries, and I loved all three of these. So this one is fun too. So it's Dr. OB, and this TV show is getting made about these 3 different doctors who work in different parts of the hospital, and we have poor Dr. OB, who he gets filmed first and he hams it up for the camera a little bit, and he ends up looking kind of like a jerk, like flirting with girls over their vaginas while he's doing his job, and it's kind of embarrassing, and he's so mortified, and he needs a new nurse hired, and when the HR is hiring, they hire this woman who is going to be his OB nurse because she hasn't heard of the show. So that's literally why she gets hired. She's a hot mess. She's late for work a lot. She's falling apart a little bit. And when they meet each other, sparks just fly right away. And they pretty much immediately are like, we're going to make something happen here because I'm hot, you're hot. Let's do it. But I love this one so much. I love a nurse and a doctor. It's of a lot of workplaces like hospitals. Maybe it's just because I'm like Grey's Anatomy is like in my veins like forever, but it also makes sense to me because when you work that kind of job, you're at the hospital so much. If you don't already have relationships set up who can handle that kind of pressure, it makes sense that the person she's directly working with, they work the same shifts because she's his nurse, like they would end up seeing each other. And it's also super sexy, and he's an OB. And I have a bit of a kink for male baby doctors. Like I also really enjoy Wrong by Jan Aston. That also has, but it's like a patient doctor, which is the line with that is a little more creepy for me. Not that it's impossible, but it's very odd. Whereas this one, like it's a nurse and a doctor, and it makes more sense to me. Then I have, and this book I'm actually rereading this month, which is Before I Ever Met You by Karina Halle. It got pulled in my game for a book that I was going to reread because I found it on Audible Escape as well, so I'm going to do it. But this one is also an age gap, and it's a dad's best friend, and it's an office romance because we have this woman who, she had a hot mess of a marriage. She has a son, and she's gotten divorced from this man and moved back home with her parents. And now she's trying to repair her relationship with her parents, and her dad ends up getting her a job as an assistant to his coworker / best friend, William McAllister. And so she's like 26 and he's almost 40, and they are just fire right away. And I love it because they're also like friends right away too. So she's his assistant, but in that like really fun camaraderie way. Like this is not a hate to love. This is like friendship to love as well, because they just click and there's a lot of chemistry. And I also like it where he's pursuing her, which doesn't always work when it's a boss to employee. Like a lot of times in that situation, it needs to be the employee liking up, just because like the power dynamic, it's not great if an employer is pursuing. And not that that even matters, right, guys? I say to a lot of that stuff all the time, but the reason why this one works so well for me is because all of those boxes are ticked. Like, I love being able to suggest this book because it's not like I have to make a bunch of caveats like I do for some of the other ones. Like, he is into her, but he pursues her in such a sweet way. And it's also one of those where, like, he's so much more into her than she's into him. And I love when that happens, because she's just like, she's looking for a rebound, and this hot older guy is offering her sex and fun, and he takes her and her kid to hockey games, and he's a great guy. He's not quite as old as her dad too, so it's not as crazy of an age gap either, but he's been hurt before by a woman that he loved, and so him being the one to like her more, I also really love that, because they both are damaged. They've both been hurt. Her physically hurt by her ex-husband. Him really emotionally hurt by his ex-wife. But I love when a hero doesn't need convincing to try again, but you're convincing the heroine to try again. I love that. And this one is adorable. And yeah, you should give this one a try. I love Karina Halle. I have another one of her. Let us go to that. And so this is A Nordic King by Karina Halle. And I'm probably saying that wrong. I don't know if we call her Hal or Halle. I should look up the pronunciation of her name sometime. But this is a forbidden romance of royal proportions. And this is a Nordic king. And here we're dealing with Axel. And he needs a nanny for his 2 little girls. And he is the king of Norway in this book. This whole series, the Nordic Royal series, is so good. And she has like a spin-off book for this series coming out soon that's like about a bodyguard of one of them, and I just want it so bad. So we have King Axel, and this nanny gets hired from, I think she's from Australia. I'm not 100% sure. She gets hired, and it's one of those cases like they've been running through a lot of nannies. Like, it's one of those. And she gets hired, and they just have like such great chemistry. This is also a slow burn. There's also a mystery aspect happening. There's also, his wife died in kind of a mysterious way. And he took the blame for some things that happened. And so he also needs to be really careful about public perception. And I love this. So yeah, so this is also like a nanny romance. It's an age gap because he is quite a bit older than her. But also he's a king. And I just love that, because I love that he's a modern day king because you just don't get to see that too much. And I just love it. I love Axel. I love Axel's pursuit. I love the way that he eventually, like, how he goes for what he wants in this relationship is everything that I want. It's wonderful. Love, love, love that one. All right, let's see. All right. I really liked Reasonable Doubt by Whitney G. This is also another age gap. A lot of these are also age gaps because they're like the older guy is working at a place, you know. So this is a lawyer romance, and this one's really fun. So this is a trilogy, although I bought it like as the pack was together on Kindle, and I think that's a good way to do it because it's one of those where like it's a trilogy, but the books are really short. And so you're going to want to binge all 3 of them together. So this is a case of, we have this guy who, he's a lawyer. I've already said that. I know, I'm sorry. And then he is messaging with this girl on a lawyer app, like it's a forum where you can like get advice about cases or like learn things. And so he's been flirting with this woman who he believes is in her like later 20s, is already a lawyer and all these things. And then they are hiring interns for his company, and this girl comes in who is only 22 and is a senior in college. She's also a dancer, which is really kind of cool. She dances ballet, but she's also going to law school. And she is this woman he's been talking to, who he thought was like 29 and is really 22, and gets hired as his intern. And so this starts as like a hate situation because he is embarrassed, he feels betrayed, and he has a big thing about people lying to him. Not only because he's a lawyer, which is funny because the kind of lawyer he is, you lie all the time, but this guy's hiding some big secrets from his past. And so a woman lying to him is his like, I'm done. But as he interacts with this girl who becomes his intern, he learns more and more about her and the sacrifices she's had to make, and you know, what she's going to do about whether she continues with law school or whether she goes to be a ballerina. And it's really good. This is a darker edge to it. But yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoyed this one. This is a male-male romance, and the first one is called The Elements of Retrofit, and this is the first in the Thomas Elkin trilogy. This is another case where just get all 3 of the books, because they're only like 150 pages each, and so you put them all together and it's like one book size. And this is another lawyer, or no, he's not. He's an architect. But it's another intern situation. And this one is actually my son's best friend, which I love. So we have Thomas Elkin, and he's like at this architect, I don't know, is it a firm or a business or whatever, and they're taking on interns, and his new intern is his son's best friend, who is also out and gay. And Thomas is actually what like ended his marriage, obviously, is that he came out to his wife about being gay, but like not really to anyone else. So he's not like, he's out, but he's still like one foot in the closet. Like there's only specific people who know. And so his son's friend is out. Like he's gay. He's happy about it. He's got just, and he starts pursuing Thomas, and it's so good. Like it is so good. I'll just tell you this, like the first like initiation of a scene is, so this intern, he's on fire, and Thomas ends up like working from his house one day. And so he texts that he's like, don't come into the office, I'm working from home today. And so he shows up at his house with pizza, with food to work there. And he says to him, he's like, so are we going to kiss and like figure this out? Because the sexual tension is distracting. So how about we just kiss, and when it's bad, we'll get over it, right? And this kid, who's not a kid, he's 24, is like, it's not gonna, you know, he says, he's like, it'll be bad and then we'll get over it, knowing that it's not gonna be bad. It's gonna be great. So this is super like, it's so good. Also, if you don't like stories to be as erotic, N.R. Walker, she writes very emotional male-male romances. So yes, there's sexy times in this, but it isn't like, it isn't gonna like overstimulate you. It's very romantic, and I just loved it. And I loved, like, Thomas is a more subdued hero, and I like that the younger man is the aggressor in this, and that he's like, you're hot, and I don't care that you're my best friend's dad. I want to fuck you, and I'm going to. And I loved it. I really did. I read all 3 of these, and I told my friend Lynn, I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm in love. And N.R. Walker writes a lot like that. So then I have Unbreakable by Melanie Harlow. I put this on this list because you'll see there is a couple of the Cloverleaf Farms books that would fit on this one, but I talk about Irresistible all the time, so I figured I would talk about Unbreakable. So this is, we have, what's her name? Sylvia comes home to stay with her family, and she starts working around the family farm again. The Cloverleaf Farms, if you don't know, they own this like hotel, bed and breakfast, like wedding venue, all these kind of things. And there's this guy named Henry who runs the winery part of it, who runs that part of it, and Sylvia is really interested in that. Henry has also recently been divorced, and they just have this crazy chemistry with each other. And Henry kind of takes her under his wing because she wants to learn more about the business and she wants to learn more about the winemaking. And so they end up colleagues in that sense, even though really like she's the owner's daughter. They are like working together, and they just can't deny their love for each other. This also has one of my favorite tropes. That is like, woman hasn't been satisfied in years, and Henry doesn't mind spending some time downtown, and I love that in a hero. When it's not even like a discussion, it's just like, no, I'm doing this for you. You just sit back, baby. You just sit back and enjoy. And I love it. I love it. So then real quick, I'll talk about Blindfolded Innocence by Alessandra Torr. So this is another lawyer situation, and this is Brad DeLuca and then Julia Campbell. There's something about heroines named Julia. There's so many of them. So we have Julia Campbell, who's in pre-law, and she gets hired as an intern for Brad DeLuca. Brad DeLuca is into a lot of things. This is kind of funny because I feel like when this book came out, this is an older book, so it came out like 50 Shades of Grey time. And I feel like this was a much more shocking when it came out, because this character, he's into sharing, and he's into voyeurism. And I feel like that was just like, oh, so taboo back then. But really, this book is really tame. Like, it's super sexy still, but the stuff that's happening, it's just like Katie Roberts would scoff. I mean, not in a mean way, because Alessandra Torr is very talented, and some of her newer things that she wrote are just so on point. I love it, but I feel like this was just very tame. But Julia, this is also an age gap, and she is super innocent, and feels like Brad feels like he's corrupting her, all those snazzy things. But it's adorable, and I love them, and it was fun. This is the first in a trilogy, so there you go. And then the last book I want to talk about is one of my favorites I've read so far this year. This is Billionaires. So this is also the fourth book in the Brooklyn Bruiser series, and it's about the owner, Nate Katzenberg. Think kind of like owner of Facebook, and he now owns the hockey team. So that's how this whole series like starts with like rookie move and stuff, is he bought this hockey team that was on a losing streak and not doing well, and he's been shaping it up. And so Nate has this assistant named Rebecca who's been with him since they were still working like in the bottom of an office building, and they went from like 20 employees to thousands. And Rebecca runs the hockey division, because Nate actually he has liked Rebecca for like 5 of the 7 years that she's been working for him, and he didn't want to be the creepy rich boss who crushed on his assistant. I love that about him. Like, it gets frustrating when we're reading it because we're like, damn it, you two are perfect for each other. But I love that about him, that he's really conflicted about, he doesn't want to make a move and ever make her uncomfortable. And because Rebecca doesn't give him any signs, he is 100%, I will never go for this. I'm going to stay out of it because I don't want to lose her, because I love working with this woman. I love her. She's one of my best friends. And Rebecca, so Nate moved her from being his personal assistant to working in the hockey division. And Rebecca has always felt like she got demoted because she knew everything about Nate. She helped him with everything. And she feels like she got demoted, and she doesn't understand what she did to offend him. So she's been living under that false pretense for a while now. But the point of this book, the initiating event, is that in 2 books previously, in Hard Hitter, Rebecca fell and got a concussion, and she's been in extreme pain for a while now. So much so that she needs to go see like a specialist for her pain. And so Rebecca is living with her sister and her brother-in-law and the baby, and it's very loud in her house. And Nate has her on leave, and he also knows she's not getting better. So he shows up at her house in his suit, looking all snazzy, and takes her to his home because he's like, I'm never at home. I have a maid and a cook, and it's quiet, and you can get healthy. And also you need to start going to physical therapy and figuring out what's wrong with you, because I don't want you to die from some of this, you know, or whatever. And this is when, like, she starts to, like, she's worried he's going to let her go. She's thinking all these things because she's carrying that hurt of him having demoted her, when really all of this is Nate needed to remove her as a temptation for himself because he didn't want to be creepy or hit on her if she wouldn't want that. And it's freaking beautiful. And how it all gets worked out is amazing. And I love Nate because he's just the right amount of alpha for me. Sometimes I want an alpha that's just like, he's gonna take over everything. And like Nate, he definitely, you know, messes up a few times. It wouldn't be a good story if he didn't. But I love how much care he has for Becca, and how the things that he does to take care of her are just because like she's afraid to ask for them and she doesn't want to be an inconvenience. And he's like, girl, you've been with me when nobody believed in me. We're family. I'm taking care of you. Stop being a sissy about it. And I love that attitude that he has, where he's like, no, you're being ridiculous. I will pay for it. I have billions of dollars. I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of. And I love it. I love it so much. So there you go. Here are some of my favorite workplace romances. Tell me what yours are. I know there's some big name ones I didn't mention. There's some that I haven't read, but also I just wanted to pick some that maybe you hadn't thought of. So, So thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you want to buy any of these, check out my link down below. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week, and you can watch some more of them right now. Bye!